thing as it does its thing, right? So, trust. It's a mystic gift because trust abides in the places and the spaces where the now moment abides. Trust abides in the sacred spaces between the inhale and the exhale. Trust abides in the space between the yes and the no, where no matter what choice you make, when it is made in love, is the correct choice and will lead like an adventure book to all of the other perfectly divinely aligned correct choices that will serve your path from that point on. You know, I remember in 2000 getting my scuba diver certificate and not even knowing that I had a fear of sharks until I was invited to be certified in the scuba diving certification in Australia. And this was in 2000. And I remember being the very last person on the boat to jump in. We did 4 days or so of intensive training in a pool with the lead belt weights and with, you know, just learning how to use the gear, the oxygen tank and all that stuff. And then you get out into the real water, right, to explore it all and to put it into practice. And everyone's all happy, lining up to jump in. And here I am at the very end, and I'm terrified, and I'm suddenly bawling, and I'm hyperventilating. And that's not like me, because I'm cool and I'm calm and I got this. Up until it was my turn to jump in. And I was like, oh, hell no, this is not happening. This is not happening at all. And I remember the scuba instructor coming over and saying, like, you know, it's your turn. You got to go in. Everyone's waiting for you. Because the idea is everyone jumps in and they do this little paddle. You go down to the very bottom of a certain depth. I think it was 16 meters or so. And where you just learn to be underwater with your gear and your tanks, and you're just be peace and do your signs underwater and all that stuff. And I couldn't even get in. And so anyway, he's like, you have to go in. You have to go in. This is the last. This is it. And actually, it wasn't the last. This was the beginning of like 10 more real dives out in the ocean. And I was so terrified and freaked out at this that I just couldn't get it together. And I was hyperventilating, and I finally got it together to actually jump in. And I was like, I'm going to die. I'm just going to die. I was so afraid. I was so afraid. But my intuition, the mystic gift inside of me was like, you're not going to die. You're not going to die. Jump, jump, jump. We got you. We got you. You wouldn't be here if you were going to die. It's not your time to die. But I couldn't hear that. All I could see was the shark eating me and me dying. I jumped in. And as soon as I hit the water, I started really bawling, crying even more. And the dive conductor guy had to come over and lay me on my back, and I was hyperventilating. He took off my mask. He's like, just breathe, just calm down, just calm down. I have to tell you, it's 100 times more calm, because when you're on the top of the water, he said, it's 100 times more calm underwater, because when you're on top and you're out in the ocean, the waves are just smashing you everywhere, and your snorkel, forget about it. There's water going in it. You're breathing water. You can't, especially if you're anxious, right? And you're freaked out, as I was. So he calmed me down. And meanwhile, this is using up everyone's oxygen that's waiting down below. He calmed me down, took me on my back. It took like 3 or 5 minutes of just like talking to me and just saying, he's like, I'm going to be right there with you. I'm going to be right there with you. I'm like, okay. Put the thing back, and here we go. We go down. And then here we go, right? The exercise of faith, And then we finally, right, on our second last dive was a night dive, where you had to go down at night. And there's a whole story about this where it was lashing rain, of course. We're holding onto this little cord by the side of the boat to get ourselves in and walk down the ladder. It was a whole like drama thing. We finally get underwater, and because it's so raining and murky, the water's all dark underneath. You have this tiny little glow stick and a flashlight, and you really can't see much more than what's right ahead of you in the dirt and the dust and the muck under the water. But what I did see was a baby shark. And I remember thinking to myself, there's a baby shark, there's a mama shark somewhere. And I got freaked out, and I'd been doing so well. And my buddy was my partner at the time, my boyfriend, who was not a good buddy. When you have a buddy underwater, you're supposed to keep an eye on each other and do your signals and keep an eye and make sure everyone's okay. And he would just be off God bless him. But he'd be off doing his own thing. And I'd be like, I need help. I need help. But no, this was my training. And I remember coming back in as I was walking back. So we did the night dive and we're like holding on to the little string on the side of the boat, waiting to go walk up the ladder when it was our turn to come back in after being out. And it's finally my turn. I'm going up the ladder and one of the dive instructors goes, stop, don't move. And I was like, what? He's like, don't move your legs. Don't move your legs. He's like, what? I was like, what? He goes, there's a huge sea snake that's swimming through your legs right now. Do not move. And I was like, what? Sea snake? He's like, it's about 30 feet long. I'm like, what? So here we go. I'm holding on. Never mind snakes. Now we got sea sharks or never mind sharks. Now we got sea snakes, right? So anyway, then the snake passed and I walked up and it was a huge deal. But the point is that, if I would have listened to my fear, I would have never have had that experience. And after I came up, after that night dive where I was like, I freaking made it through. I remember I tied this little black string around my left ankle and I was like, oh yeah, we did it. We got this. We in. And it was really just like one of the most powerful experiences that I had. And everything in my intuition was telling me, don't do it. You're going to die. Yet the truth of the matter was actually me allowing myself to die. An uncertain death was actually the beginning of the blossoming of a whole new version of self. And if I would have never have met myself, if I never would have trusted in the mystic gift that was saying go, I would have never have had that experience and I would never know who I was on the other side of fear. Now that's the God phone. And I might have to, hold on 1 second. Hello? Blessings, God. Yes, I know there's some stuff with the Instagram grid and it's so interesting. And here I have the other phone, the backup phone, and it's not wanting to play. It's just not even wanting to turn on and I have it plugged in and charged. Yeah. Just try. God's all trust. Of course, right? Just trust the process. Yes. So I know it's been a while since we've read from A Course in Miracles. And well, here's the thing is that I don't know what to read from it. Just ask. God is saying, just ask and trust. Okay. And read what will be guided and it will serve the greater whole. Thank you, dear God. I really appreciate that. No, I'm so happy to be back. Yet this is just such an interesting thing that's going on. I might have to go onto Instagram later. It's true. All right. Thank you, dear God. We will look into A Course in Miracles today. And God says hi and sends love always. Thank you, dear God. Blessings. All right. So God phone is here. God phone is here, even though we're not in Instagram land. God phone is here. So the point of this, though, with the little story about the sharks is like, how many things in your life is calling you? Now, I really wish I was on Instagram right now. But that's just me, right? And maybe we will get back in there. We'll see. Because I feel that a lot of the little stories that I want to share with you now that are coming up, I really want to share with that community as well. And, there's this sense of understanding that there is a divine blueprint that is all yours and that you have co-created before you came into this life, that you knew there were going to be certain passages that you actually chose yourself for your growth. And understanding when we see this in a larger complex, picture, then we are able to put our awareness into that level of focus, that level of understanding. What is the truth in my heart? What is the true vision? The true vision, right, is one that we all have in common. And that is that version of us that is our blueprint of perfection, that is in tune with the supernatural powers that are innate and that are within us and that come activated as we exercise this mystic gift of trust. How often do you exercise your mystic gift of trust? And that saying that they say, actually, I can't even remember the proper saying, but it's something to the fashion of, that the space between your heart and your head is the longest distance, right, to travel for most of us, because it beckons us to exercise our faith. And faith is that which has no third dimensional standing. Faith goes beyond what science says. Faith goes beyond what has been proven up to this point in time. Faith says there's another way. Faith says there's other ways. There's more ways. There's not just one way. Faith says, I know that, according to history or to the history books or to my past experiences, things have always turned out a certain way when I've shown up in this way. And it's been safe that way. Yet now I'm ready to explore being whole and being all the parts of myself. And I think this is really what it comes to, is not lying to ourselves anymore, not hiding all the parts of ourselves. And this is really a very powerful place that I feel is coming, and it's knocking on my door. And perhaps it's been knocking on your door, the door of your heart as well. That, as we come into this 2021 and this whole just really powerful alchemy that's happening throughout the entire planet, in our collective consciousness, that we're really having a chance and an opportunity to rise up and to embody our truth. And for some, it's very much just like, I'm going to wear a mask. I'm not going to wear a mask. I'm going to get vaccinated. I'm not going to get vaccinated. It can be, all sorts of different ways that we are expressing this given our global situation currently. Yet besides that and beyond that, there are those little choices that we make on a day-to-day level, right, for ourselves, on behalf of ourselves, that are going to serve to empower us and to continue opening up the doorways for us that are in alignment with harmonically converging the perpetuity of your life, whether it's the perpetuity of just the rest of that day, right, that we think about, or the way that those dominoes then begin to stack up for us as our life, if we think about our life as a continuum. Okay, so the choices I make now in fear and out of untrust are only going to create more domino layouts, more scaffolding of gridding in my mental continuum and through the cosmos that will help to reinforce that. And this, if you follow me, right? This is how we understand the metaphysics of the universe, and we work within and with that fabric, with that tool and that dynamic. And so understanding, though, the deeper integration of that aspect with the self and how that can translate itself into us finding our courage and our power, into us not hiding all the parts of ourselves. And so this is the point, is that I feel that this 2021, with us all sort of having the sense of being separated by our different beliefs or our feelings about what's going on, whether you believe in politics or not. I mean, it's a part of the third dimension. It's a part of the matrix fabric, right? So it's a part of a dance that we all do to certain degrees. And understanding that as we allow all the parts of ourselves to be united and to show up, that's when the voice for God, the voice of your intuition, will be that much clearer. And then the choices you make from those bridged parts of self, the choices you make from that coherent version of you, are going to serve in creating more opportunities for all of those parts of you as they are interconnected versus as one separate wheel on its own. So for instance, I love exercising, and I have a page on Instagram, and there's a little playlist here that I've put some stuff that's over the years for exercising, right? And I have a page called Booty Sculptress. It's all about, being a booty enthusiast, loving the backside and learning how to heal your life and developing your ability to be in your body in a way that is full of love, that is full of self-acceptance, and finding your empowerment and your strength through healing those past experiences, those memories in your body that would keep you in the same body or in the memory of that same body that had been bullied or that used to, have old patterns of self-hate, that was in a yo-yo thing of gaining weight and losing weight. And these are all my issues, by the way. So there's this whole version of me that is this like exercise person that's like, check out, let's do some booty work, and like having fun with all that stuff and going to the gym. And then there's this mystic teacher part of me that's been a Reiki teacher for over 20 years and that is a channel and that, serves in healing and practices in so many ways for my community. And And then there's this grid mind science, which is a part of it all. But there's this movie, there's the screenplay, there's the script, there's this docudrama, there's this information that I've been sitting with for over 20 years as well, that has been assembled and reassembled in so many different ways along my path since I've been with it, as art, as writings, as blogs, as little mini movies. And I've kept all of these parts of myself separate, and I've been doing my best to not to let the edges bleed. At times they do, and I crisscross and I cross pollinate, but that's my fear, is having all of those parts together, showing up at the same time and being boldly courageous and saying, this is all of me, and making choices rooted and based on all of me, all of those parts of me, not just this little wheel separate from this little wheel or this little wheel here, but it's all of me, right? It's the knife thrower. It's the part of me that loves throwing knives. It's the part of me that loves practicing waist training. It's the part of me that loves to tell people to fuck off. But it's also the part of me that loves to pray for people. And this is another thing that I've realized in this past couple of months is, and I've posted a few, just saying this, terms like all the lights turned on. And this is what I'm realizing, is that as I move even deeper into this mystic gift of trust, it's like, this is where all your lights turn on. This is where all the chakras are activated. When you have the courage to move and more and more of the ways that connect and align all those parts of you as one whole, versus like trying to hide this part and just work on this and just this and that, but to become that union of self. And to, from that point, again, make those decisions, make those choices, and see yourself as a whole, which is a practice, which I'm just beginning to do now. I'm like, how does this even look? How does this even look if I put this all on the one web page, or if I put this all, like, how do they interconnect? But they do, because they're you. And so, and that's the grain of salt you see that sometimes we forget, is that there's you. You are a mystic gift. And your mystic gifts become exceptionally accelerated and amplified when you learn to trust all those parts of yourselves and allow them to come together, and allow yourself to be all those parts together. So for example, for many years in New York, I taught yoga, and I still do, and I love it. And I had a huge following. We were just, that was like, woo, gang. If you guys remember, right? Back 20 plus years ago. It was a scene, right? All of us. But there was a nice little group, and we'd be hanging and doing our yoga together. And it was like a thing. And I remember getting these loyal, students and clients from teaching classes, and always being like, oh my God, I never want them to know that I smoke tobacco. I never want them to know that I drink, because they're seeing me as this yogi person and all this stuff, and this Reiki person. And even in my Reiki thing, I'd be like, okay, they can't know that I like to have a cocktail from time to time. They can't know that I like to have a puff of pop from time to time. I need to be like this person here. But then at the same time, I was out headbanging, literally headbanging with dreadlocks down to my butt in a hardcore New York rock band. And after the gig, smoking joints and drinking Jack Daniels. The next morning, going to a hospital and doing Reiki work on someone who's dying. This has been my life, though, you see, and I've done my best to try to keep it all separated. And what I've learned is that that's only been it has served, right, to a certain point, because that's all I knew how to do. Yet as I become, you just get older, you mature in your spirituality and your growth and your just self-love and acceptance. And as you learn more and more acceptance, and you realize the bigger picture of if you're going to be alive, okay, I'm going to be 49 soon. And I'm like, okay, we're almost at the half century mark. If I'm going to stick around, this has to be on my terms. And it always has been. To the degree that I've allowed it to be, I'm just that kind of a person. But even more so, how can I be even more, in my truth, in my intuitive expertise of trusting my mystic gifts and allowing them to guide? Well, what spirit invites is stop hiding. So I used to be all these different versions of myself. And then I remember somehow I used to also facilitate an open mic night down in the East Village, right? And this is all my New York thing. And then I remember some of my yoga students finding out that I did this open mic night, and they're like, oh, we want to come and hear you sing. And I was like, oh shit, they're going to see me drinking Guinness beer and smoking. This is back when you could smoke in clubs. And I remember the look on I remember two of my students showed up. But I was like, I can't hide. Like, this is just who I am. And here I am singing and doing my thing. And after, we're talking and I'm like drinking a beer and I'm smoking and they're like looking at me like their face was like, like what's that, remember there's that meme going around, dissonance, whatever that dissonance is, where they couldn't put the pieces together because they're so used to seeing me as this holy sage person or whatever. And then here I am, the dreadlocks are out. I've all got my whatever, my beer and my smoke, and I'm, headbanging, and it was just this whole cognitive dissonance. That's what it was. And that's what I feel like I'm going through. As Spirit is saying, mystic gift of trust, you get to trust even more now that who you are, all those parts of you that have been walking with you your whole life, that there is a place for you, that there's a space for you, and that there's a reason. There's a reason why. Why you are who you are. There's a reason why, because all of those parts of you want to have that voice. They want to find out who they are in interconnection and interplay with the other parts. And that's one thing that I know for me that has been coming up. And so the mystic gift of trust is saying, like, what do you see? Journal about it, dream into it, meditate on it. You spend so long keeping those parts of yourself at bay, but who are you when you really start to show up and honor those parts of yourself? The mystic gift of trust is knowing, which is nowing, which is outside of time, outside of timelines. But it is nowing, it is knowing that what you're feeling and what you're inspired to do and be and embody is a part of the truth. It's a part of your truth that is seeking to be materialized, to just seeking to have a voice and a body here on this planet. And it's that part of you, it's that part of me that is calling out for us to be that alchemist and that master and to explore with courage how the Rubik's Cube is going to reformulate itself beyond the Akashic memory, beyond the Akashic records of past experiences, but to create anew on behalf of you, on behalf of me, through the choices we make, through exercising our exercising our mystic gift of trust. And why is it mystic? Because we're believing in what we are not seeing, right? To have faith is to exercise in that knowing, is to metaphysically put your power into practice. And to know without a shadow of a doubt that I'm not going to die if I jump off this side of the boat and I do my scuba diving practice. I'm not going to be eaten by a shark. And actually, I really don't know what's going to happen, but I trust that I'm here for a reason and I'm guided to be here. And so I'm going to jump in and I'm going to see who I am now. And that's what the guidance is. It's not knowing what lays on the other side, right? And there's that saying, everything you want is on the other side of fear. So let us meet ourselves in that fear. And let us go beyond it. Let us trust with the mystic gift of trust that we can co-create in the now new timelines that have not been here before. Because believe me, if you start coming together as all those parts of yourself, reunited and connected as a whole, or united for the very first time as a whole, that is a new timeline. You will be introducing new grids for yourself to play in, for yourself to experience life in, and for life to meet you at. And so trust, having the backbone, having the mystic gift. There's nothing more you can do. Sometimes things just get to the point where there's nothing more you can do. And the devil will try to tell you that that's all you can do. The fear, the limitation, the lack, all the reasons why in this third dimension will show up and they'll say, you see, you're not supposed to. You see, this is why. And they'll run a list of problems or a list of reasons and what had happened in the past. And it's up to us to say, okay, fine. I know I experienced that, or that has been, or I see that's a statistic. Yet where I'm going is a place that has not been created before. What I'm going to embody is a version of me that has not stood here in its power before. And that's what I'm inviting you to do, my friends, is to develop your mystic gift of trust developing your intuition, meditating, trusting. And it's a muscle. It's a muscle. And when you trust your intuition, when you trust the mystic gift of your intuition that is leading you along your path, it is about you building new worlds. And it is about you stepping outside of anything you've ever been before and anyone you've ever been before so that you can have a new life. And that's what I'm inviting you to do, is to co-create your life anew. Yeah. So let's read a little bit from A Course in Miracles, and then I think we're going to close, and I'll come back later and I will re-edit this because I know there was a long period in between. And I thank you. I think there's maybe one or two people here right now. And I thank you because this has been a little funny, this whole proceeding this morning. But let's see, where are we guided to be here? The healing of the dream. I'm just guided to go here. So page 580 in the text, chapter 27, number 3. This body, purposeless within itself, holds all your memories. We think about the Akashic records and all your hopes. You use its eyes to see, its ears to hear, and let it tell you what it is it feels. It does not know. It tells you, but the names you gave to it to use. So the body just tells you its memories, its reflections of what it knows from the past. When you call forth the witness to its reality. So your choice versus God's choice, right, is what's at hand. Choice, which is reality, not choice, which is the only one. So what does this even mean? You cannot choose among them which are real, for any one you choose is like the rest. So the point is that when you are one with God and when you are fully trusting the voice of your intuition, the voice that is saying, choose love, choose the risk, choose to go out of your comfort zone, choose courage and self-acceptance. That's the main choice, right? And from that choice of love, as I was saying earlier, there could be many different ways that you can make that choice on behalf of love. But when it's rooted in love, it's rooted in God. And anything that is not rooted in love, rooted in God, that's really not a choice at all. It looks like a choice, is what this is saying, this passage, but it is rooted and based in memory, in the Akashic records of memory, of what you've done before, of what you've seen before, what you've heard before, what you've listened to on the TV or the news or the radio, or stories that your family, your traditions, or your cultures have told you. Yet you can come anew. You can be born again in anew. You do not make a witness true because you call him by truth's name. The truth is found in him if it is truth he represents. So if you stand in your truth, nothing can fuck with you, right? You are unfuckable with. And that's the point, is to learn to lean into the truth of you and to learn you're unfuckable with power, which is just that you are unfuckable with because you are leaning into love. It's not a power that is controlling or full of greed or judgment or I'm better than you are. It's not that. That supernatural power comes from you leaning into God, into love, and saying, like, I know that this may not appear in the third dimensional reality, that this is going to make a difference, or that this makes sense, or there's, or you know, that I should be trying harder from doing things in a different way. But right now, what this is guiding is to choose from this intuitive point, from this truth within me, and I'm going to lean into that because I know if I really sit with that in my heart, that that's my truth. And it might make me cry, and it might make me scream, and it might make me think like, oh, fuck, now I got to get a divorce. Now I got to break up with my lover. Oh, now I have to leave that job. Oh, now I got to change my diet, right? Now I got to make that new website. And it's not got to, right? It's get to. We get to do all these things. But when you move with God, when you move with that voice of God, with that trust, with that mystic gift, and even if your knees are shaking, but you step into your unfuckable with nature, all those powers come to meet you, and you are lifted in the levity of the God force just by choosing that. But you don't know until you choose it, right? Until you have the courage to actually take that little baby step. And then you go in and you see what it's like. And then you take another step and you see what it's like, and you choose again and you choose again, and you are creating your adventure story. So only within the holy instant, which is the now, can an honest question honestly be asked. So there's a lot of times questions are asked that really have no answer, or that have no meaning, or that's a question you're just used to asking that's really not going to take you into a power place. Okay. So being aware of when we are in the loop of asking ourselves questions that really just keep us in a loop. Dropping into the now moment. And it sounds cheesy, but it's that old paradigm of, take 3 deep breaths, calm yourself, center yourself before you make a choice, before you reach, out, go within and really feel what's true to you. That's why people go to therapists. That's why people go to counselors, right? I do spiritual counseling, and it's on the phone with individuals. And a lot of it is so that individuals hear themselves talk. You hear yourself talk and you're like, oh, well, wait. And then you realize and you discern, is this in honor of me? Or let me think about this again. Let me re-speak this and reshape this thought and these words in a different way that is more congruent and more aligned to who I really know I am, even if I'm not fully showing up as that yet, but also that which is going to create the structure, the grid work, the scaffolding, the foundation, so that I can learn to grow into this new expanded self. And from the meaning of the question, does the meaningfulness of the answer come? So when you're centered and you're clear and you're intuitively present and you're saying yes to the now moment, the answer comes. Here it is possible to separate your wishes from the answer. Again, that's that okay, a part of me feels like I'm not ready. A whole bunch of me feels that I'm not ready, but my higher self, my guides, my angels, my heart is saying, go, 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 right? So the ego part of me, the fearful part of me is saying, no, no, no. But higher self is saying, go, go, go. And that's the discerning. The answer is provided everywhere. Your yes, your truth is always with you. But are you with it? Are you in the now moment? Are you present enough? Are you tuning in enough to hear it, to receive the inspiration and the guidance that it will give you to move forward in the ways that you know are true to you? The holy instant is the interval in which the mind is still enough to hear an answer that is not entailed within the question asked. It offers something new and different from the question. How could it be answered if it but repeats itself? So again, that's that Akashic record. And there's often I'll have clients, not often, but sometimes a client will come and they'll come with questions, but they'll ask the question and they'll also propose the answer at the same time. And so getting out of that, what I get to point to is to say, okay, let's just cut the tail end of that offering off, your answer to the question, and now just sit with the question that you have, that you think you already know the answer to. Sit with that, see what comes, and then beyond that, take a few breaths, drop into your heart, and now, what is the real question? And chances are they may be a very different question that will yield a very different answer. So trusting yourself, trusting that the choices you're going to make and that you make on behalf of yourself are truly in service to the highest good of all. And if that's in a question, as a part of your question, then say it to God, say it to your angels, to your guides, Divine, show me all of the ways that you guide me to move forward now. What does my intuition say? What serves the highest good of all in regard to this paradigm that I'm having confusion about, or that I'm fearful about, where I need more courage in? What is your divine guidance, and how will this serve the highest good of all? And the truth is, family, that when you move from the heart and from love, every choice you make will serve the highest good of all, because love is the truth. Love is the truth. And so I'm feeling guided for today to end this here on YouTube for today. I'm so grateful, though, for you, dear community. I'm going to see about maybe trying to get back onto Instagram and do a little refurbishing of today's live. But I'm so grateful. We will come back. I will record the sex ed conversation I had with Reverend Samantha and put this up here soon to post. But I thank you so much for being here. And I feel like this is me just getting back into things here on YouTube. So I will be posting more as I get back into the groove, and I'll see you more often here. If you are interested, I'll put links down below later, but I have a website, tuesdaymaythomas.com. The link is up at my main YouTube page as well. You could sign up for my monthly love letter, which I have not been doing in the last couple months with taking care of ill family member and stuff. But life is, and we are very blessed. And so I'm very grateful for this community. Thank you for subscribing, and do follow on Instagram if you're interested. All right, so many blessings and so much love, dear community. Blessings. Blessings.